Welcome back, cholos and cholies, to the motherfucking corner right here. This is going to be like episode 98, 99, or 100. Epic to see you guys here. Today, me and my co-host Troy are doing something different. We are going to talk about some random shit as well, as usual, but we're going to read something from the banned book of Mark Twain, Huckleberry Finn.
The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, to be specific.
Right. So yeah, I'm ready. Is it me that's starting?
Yeah.
Okay.
There are 2 pages. We will be reading from page 82 to 83 because it's a very interesting dialogue that I said to Patrick before. This could have been Patrick and I talking if we had lived in the 19th century.
Thus, we have changed the main characters' names to our own, where I'm going to be calling Huck for Troy, and Troy
Jim
is going to call me Jim for Patrick. Yeah. Right. Let's begin. That's good. But it'll be pretty lonesome. There ain't no kings here, is there, Chuck? Is there, Troy?
No.
Then he can't get no situation. What he going to do?
Well, I don't know. Some of them gets on the police, and some of them learns people how to talk French.
Why, Troy? Don't the French people talk the same way we does?
No, Jim. No, Pat. You couldn't understand a word they said. Not a single word.
Well, now I be ding busted. How do that come?
I don't know, but it's so. I got some of their jabber out of a book. Suppose a man was to come to you and say, "Parlez-vous français?" What would you think?
I wouldn't think nothing. I'd think and bust him over the head, that is. If you weren't white, I wouldn't allow no nigga to call me that.
Shucks. It ain't calling you anything. It's only saying, do you know how to talk French?
Well, then why couldn't he just say that?
Why, he is a-saying it. That's a Frenchman's way of saying it.
Well, it's a blame ridiculous way, and the one want to hear no more about it. There ain't no sense in it.
Looky here, Jim. Does a cat talk like we do?
No, a cat don't.
Well, does a cow?
No, a cow don't nuther.
Does a cat talk like a cow? Or a cow talk like a cat?
No, they don't.
It's natural and right for them to talk different from each other, ain't it?
Of course.
And ain't it natural and right for a cat and a cow to talk different from us?
Why, most surely it is.
Well then, why ain't it natural and right for a Frenchman to talk different from us? You answer me that.
Is a cat a man, Troy?
No.
Well, then there ain't no sense in a cat talking like a man. Is a cow a man, or is a cow a cat?
No, she ain't either of them.
Well, then she ain't got no business to talk like either of one of them, the other of him. Is a Frenchman a man?
Yes.
Well, then, Dad, blame it. Why don't he talk like a man? You answer me that.
I see it warn't no use wasting words. You can't learn a nigger to argue, so I quit.
And the quote from page 82 and 83 of The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. Wow.
Yeah.
Like,
and sorry for swearing there at the end, but that is a part of the book. And
no, don't say sorry. That is the words that Mark Twain used
yeah.
when he wrote the book.
It has to be, and like there's no point in censoring it either. And we are not Americans, and we are not as vigilant on banning things here in overseas in Europe, in Denmark.
Well,
we're a free country.
You got Germany though that is like banning the Nazi symbols and the word Nazi in Wolfenstein.
Yeah, but that's specifically to German culture, and that's because of the German culture too. But it's actually ironic how, that's another thing like that I would like to discuss perhaps in another episode, how things that are close to your own culture, like that are afflicted with heavy guilt, are usually banned by that country years later if you go back in history, like it is with the word nigger in American history and with the swastika symbol in German history. So that's I'm trying to come up with other examples.
Well, the point is that you should just own up to the history.
Yeah, you should, absolutely.
And just use it, like don't ban it.
Yeah. I'm trying to come up with other examples of like. I'll have to Google it. Just keep it going here while I research it.
Well, what did you think about like the picture? Like over to something completely different. What did you think about the picture of the wolf pack? Remember? We were looking at this picture of a wolf pack, of the super pack, which had the alpha going behind, and then 5 of the strongest wolves fighters in front of the alpha, and then all the pups, or if you call it that, the kid wolves and the not so strong in the middle. And then another pack of like the strongest fighters there is in front of them, performing like a protection of those. And then the elderly wolves at the front, setting the pace for the entire flock. I couldn't see from the picture where. I couldn't see from the picture where the Omega wolf was. Because I gotta pull this up, like a wolf hierarchy wolf hierarchy ranks. Yeah, okay. Like you have the alpha in the top, right? You have the alphas and the betas in the top, the alpha couple and the beta couple, and like under them you have the female wolves and the male wolves, that is the subordinates and the fighters, and the juveniles, the elders and the mothers and the he-wolf. But like now none of those have the Omega either. Yes, okay, all right, here's a picture, Troy. I'm gonna see if I can send it to you. Like you can see, like the Omega is at the bottom of the entire rank for the wolf pack. You see that?
Oh yeah.
Right. And almost like outside of the flock, kind of. And
that's another example of cultural hierarchies that has probably been ingrained over years of generations of wolves.
Like I read like some article that was like super interesting. I'll link it in the description here. But a dude that was observing a wolf pack in Canada, I think, for a year. And the Omega was killed. The Omega male wolf was killed because it was an encounter with a tiger wolf or something, right?
Yeah.
or a snow tiger, or I gotta like read the article again to see like what, but some kind of like encounter ended up like killing the Omega, and then next up in the rank ladder to take the Omega's place as the Omega was the Alpha's brother. Fucking surreal, right?
Wow.
The brother of the strongest became the weakest.
Oh, okay.
And you know, like as this guy was observing that, he was like thinking like, damn, this should be some drama or whatever, right? Because is the brother to the Alpha going to stand for that?
No.
And he wasn't. It was like amazing to see, apparently, because even though he accepted the role as the Omega, and the thing is that, you know, like the Omega wolf, the Omega female and the Omega male, they are not allowed to mate because they are not deemed fit to have kids in the wolf pack.
Damn.
Very, very fucking strict,
and
right?
What's even more like what I'm just thinking through all this, these seemingly very ingrained rules is that, or very specific rules that it is that they are not able to communicate them through language. They're just able to fucking communicate them through their behavior and through body language.
Yeah, that's it. It's amazing.
That's fucking nuts.
Yeah.
That they don't even have to say, I am fucking boss. No, you just have to look formidable and fucking like take a deep breath and then just be, and then it's already clear that no, you're not to be fucked with.
Yeah, well, you also have to prove it, because there would be somebody to challenge, or somebody that will challenge you, right? And as the Alpha, you have to be the most on edge, ready to fight wolf there is, you know.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's all judged by your actions, not by what you like. Not by opening your mouth. Maybe you can bark and do some sounds, but that's not going to fucking help.
That's
you.
true, man. Like, it's all your actions that's right.
Yeah. So wolves are really creatures that are heavily dependent on their actions rather than their language.
Right. Like, I think like it's nuts, but I would like never in a million years, before I read all this stuff and saw this picture and stuff, like thought that a wolf pack was disorganized. But they have a strict hierarchy. Like that there's like the weakest wolf is not allowed to have kids, and if they are like trying, the Alpha will cast them out of the flock. And secondly is the respect for the elders. Also again without language. It's just something they do.
That's fucking amazing.
And then
although, like, there are some linguists who argue that even sounds. Essentially, language is nothing more. To get technical here, language is nothing more than a bunch of phonemes that, words and sentences can be broken down into sounds, right? And so when wolves, they're barking, they're making sounds as well, and that essentially is language too. But yeah, behavior is not language in the sense that it is like well, it could be, I guess. It could be like a gesture that you do over and over again that means something, and hence it becomes language.
Well, so think about it. Like 70% of like the global human communication that's going on is it's not by mouth. It's by body language.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
That's fucking nuts too, man.
And if you think about gestures as repetitive expressions, then if you think of language in terms of a wide expressive concept, then yes, wolves, they also do have a certain language in their groups.
Yeah,
it's just much more primitive, obviously, than the language that we have developed. But that's interesting.
Another one of the rules is that if anybody challenges the alpha for a fight and loses, the challenger needs to leave the flock and become an outcast, a wolf without a pack forever. There's no mercy. And if the alpha loses, he will do so voluntarily too, without fighting. Then the alpha will become the outcast.
And the outcast is the what is this? The shame.
The shamed, like the wolf, leaving in shame. Like living on your own. Yeah. And then the lone wolf would be.
But that's not the omega. They're not the same.
No, what we're talking about? No.
Let's say there's an adolescent wolf that challenges the alpha and somehow wins it. Then the adolescent becomes the alpha, and the former alpha becomes the shamed.
Yeah, then the former alpha needs to leave.
Yeah,
the same, because like that's the amazing.
But who takes the place of the adolescent then?
That would be the one next in the rank ladder. So in this case, it would be like pub. Yeah. Then it would be a pup or one of the, because like this is just one wolf pack. Like most likely there will be more of those adolescents wolves, right, to take it. Yeah.
I guess they will remain pups until they're big enough to be adolescent.
Yeah. Can you enlighten me as to what that word means?
Adolescence is just for humans, that would be after you've turned 13, from 13 until 30. Like the younger years. The younger years.
Okay.
As a pub, you will be young, basically. Still, I mean, I guess you could call a baby a pub too, like in cute terms.
Right. They also have a wolf that is the shaman.
That was what I asked before, whether it was the shamed or the, because I can't see the whole thing, can't see the word. But yeah, definitely interesting. And actually that ties quite nicely together with interesting how everything is connected in this episode. That this thing with that they also have their own language in the wolf pack ties together a little bit with the text we were reading from Huckleberry Finn, where they were talking about whether a cow talks like we do or a cat talks like we do.
Yeah.
Or whether a Frenchman talks like they do, like Jim and Huck do in the book. Yeah. And they come to the conclusion that they don't. That their language is different from the French, and the language of us humans is different than the one of a cow, and that is different from the one of a cat, and that is different from the one of a wolf.
Yeah.
So that is. I don't know why that was interesting to me.
Let me read something here. This is like the position of the omega wolf in the wolf pack. This is from like some wolf page. Okay, so the position of the omega wolf in a wolf pack is very difficult, as the omega is the lowest ranked in the hierarchical ladder, which entails considerable injustice in the form of numerous everyday expressions of superiority and some form of bullying by other dominant members in the pack, and even from the wolf pups. So as the omega wolf, you're also being bullied by the pups. Holy shit, man! And you just gotta take it because you're the omega.
Wow.
So occasional biting, forcing the omega to lay on the ground, frequent humiliation, and other expressions of dominance from the other wolves are the inconveniences that the omega wolf must endure during any normal day. He often
so he's just the victim all the time. He just has to deal with being bullied all the time by everybody.
Yeah. He often walk and howl in much lower position than all the others, with his tail pulled between his legs. He often has to perform an act of subordination consisting of laying on his back and weakly whining. Although Omega Wolf is the last recognized, he is also a very beloved member of the pack. He maintains a pleasant and joyful atmosphere, detract from everyday worries of entire pack, provokes and encourages the games. He is an essential part of the pack, without which it would not work. So like this is like really interesting, because apparently they need a weak wolf that they can bully.
Mm.
They need a weak wolf that they can fuck with in order to feel superior.
Yeah.
In order to feel and be superior. Wow, man.
Yeah. Fuck, man.
So yeah, man, like that's crazy, you know, like regarding that article that I read where it was the alpha's brother becoming the omega. Because like I would have like thought that, you know, like wouldn't other wolves then, you know, like be worried about like, should I really screw with the omega because that is the alpha's brother, you know?
Yeah.
But apparently that doesn't matter, because as I understand from this, the alpha isn't a leader as we would call a leader in human terms, because in the wolf pack the alpha is just a wolf with like the biggest social freedom, and everybody, like you just said earlier, just follows naturally because he has just asserted his position. So that's yeah.
That is rather interesting. I'm like, fuck, man, I'm like trying to find into this this text here from Mark Twain, because the point that I was trying to make before, why it is interesting to read this text, also 100 years after it was published, is because through this dialogue you can actually see how educated they are, and I don't think we talked about it in this episode. I think we spoke about it earlier, that you can see the educational level of these people from back then, that they were not as educated as we are today. Right?
No, yeah, they weren't. But like I was just letting you finish there. I'm sorry if you felt like it was too long of a break.
No, that's fine.
But I was going to say that, you know, like, but their levels of education was different, right?
Yeah,
Also, the access to education was different, as it would be way more normal to be homeschooled in especially rural areas at that time, right? So a lot of the kids there would just grow up and be self-taught, like in this case, Jim, right?
Yeah,
because he just goes from what everybody else has like been doing and what he has learned throughout his life to the year to however young they are in the book. But yeah, man, like the levels of educations was different. And I would like imagine that, you know, for instance, a middle class family in a big city would be way more intellectual, or not intellectual, maybe not more intellectual, but have a bigger vocabulary and a bigger sense of like how things works and stuff, because they would have access to good schools, they would have access to a lot of diversity of educations, right? And knowledge in books and libraries and all this crazy shit that they can use to amp up their brains to level 9,000, right? And you know, like that's how I interpret it. That as how it must have been, like because yeah, man, like because the access to education, right? It's and this wasn't just here, you know, like this went all the way up to the 1950s, 1960s. As I like my old doctor in Norway, who's now retired, he didn't have like especially good grades from high school, right? But I asked
the doctor.
Yeah, the doctor. So I asked, like, so what the fuck? How did you become a doctor? Went to school in Germany in I remember he's old, right? So like 1950 or 1960, went to school in Germany, or university in Germany, University of Berlin or something, right? And I asked, like, okay, how? Well, I spoke German because because his grandmother or something was German, and apparently there was no grade requirement back then in the 50s or 60s to get into university, even as a doctor. Other than that, you could prove that you had passed high school.
Yeah, well, that makes sense considering that the population had significantly decreased after the war, and there was a lack of fucking, like, there was a severe lack of fucking people in the country.
Doctors.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, well, that is a given. If you have a lack of people, then of course you also have a lack of doctors.
Right. But this wasn't just in Germany though, because like I checked it, like there was, for instance, no grade requirement to get into law school in Denmark, Sweden, or Norway, all the way up until the 1970s.
Wow.
It was first in the beginning of the 1980s where it began to have some kind of like grade requirement to come in, and then, you know, like it just progressed from there until 40 years later, where we are today, where you pretty much need an A+++ average from high school to get in.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, that's how it's changed.
Yeah, so that's the and that's what this little section that we read in the beginning describes so well. But another like what Twain does so interestingly is the way that he just makes he's getting into the mindset of fucking Jim and like trying to see well, how would a black guy, like, let's just call it a nigger in this episode, like, how would a nigger back then think about this, about language and about talking differently? Well, he would probably compare it to animals, the animal kingdoms, and that's why Huck is also trying to compare it to these guys to make him understand language. but obviously he's failing, and that's a little bit of a tragic ending to that chapter as well. But it's just an interesting, or like a fucking interesting concept to behold, like how you need, as an author, how you need to layer your research and your thinking in order to get into the minds of the characters of the black guy here, in order to understand him. How would he think? And only a true genius author can do this.
I was just like looking into like when this guy lived. I guess Mark Twain, or Samuel Langhorne Clemens, which is his real name.
No, interesting.
Was born in November 30th, 1835, in Florida, Missouri, U.S.
Of course, Missouri. Of course, he's from the South. But that also, it's also stated at the beginning of the book that all the different dialects that he describes is not researched, but that is, as he writes, painstakingly acquired with family and friends and stuff. So he has spent many a year around people who talk like this.
Yes,
and you can imagine, because he uses that word painstakingly, that he actually feels he feels it's exhausting, this dialect. I think, I don't know.
He also spent a lot of time in different small towns and stuff, right?
But yeah, I guess that it does make sense that he would feel that it is hard to be around this dialect, because it is the poor man's American. It is not grammatically correct. Like, I actually had a very good other quote here from another page where you can really feel the wrong grammar on page 49, where this is again Jim who says, "Well, I was going to open it, but I had a dream, and the dream told me to give it to a nigger named Balaam. Balaam's ass, they call him for show. He's one of damn chuckleheads, you know, but he's lucky, they say, and I see I want lucky. The dreams say let Balaam invest the 10 cents and he'd make a raise for me. Well, Balaam, he tucked the money, and when he was in church, he heard the preacher say that whoever give to the poor, lend to the Lord, and bound to get his money back 100 times. So Balaam, he tuck and give the 10 cents to the poor, and let low to see what was going to come of it. Nothing never come of it, of course. I couldn't manage to collect that money no way, and Balaam he couldn't. I ain't gwine to lend no more money doubt I see the security. Bound to get your money back 100 times, the preacher says. If I could get the 10 cents back, I'd call it square, and I'd be gladder the chanced. Yes, and I's rich now. I come to look at it, I owns myself. And I is worth $800. I wished I had the money. I wouldn't want no more.
Wow, man. Where was that from? Like Jumping Frog?
It was also from one of Jim's dialogue in Huckleberry Finn on page 49.
Okay.
For you guys who want to read along.
Right.
But yeah, first of all, heavily Southern accent, and then you have obviously the bad Concord there with I owns myself, or even I owns myself.
Hey, I gotta like get this out. My train of thought out here. So in California, there is something that is called the Mark Twain Trail.
Okay.
Yeah. Because apparently from 1861 to 1866, Twain rambled around Lake Tahoe, San Francisco, and ever so briefly the Sierra foothills hideaway, all the while collecting a motherlode of literary nuggets for his timeless observation. Twain spent 88 days on the Jackass Hill in the winter of 1864 to 1865 with 3 pocket miners and a cat named Tom Quartz. According to Twain, ringleader Jim Gills regaled the household with campfire stories in a colloquial tongue spoken by the hard Scrabble miners. So this is apparently, like where he has like gotten a lot of the inspiration for all the stuff that he's written. And apparently, like somewhere along this trail here is also where he got inspiration to write Jumping Frog, or he wrote Jumping Frog, or something like that.
Yeah.
So these tales were scattered in Twain's work throughout a long career as America's great humorist and storyteller. Jim Baker's Blue Jay yarn, which first appeared in 1880 in A Tramp Abroad, came from Gillis' biographer's report. So yeah, man, like so there you have it. Like there's all these places in California you can visit where he has been visiting, drinking, conversing, and listening.
Yeah, of course, especially the drinking. Because if there's one thing they have plentiful, they have more than plentiful down there in the South, it is probably whiskey. I reckon that's something that they got plentiful.
Yeah, man, bourbon whiskey.
And I gotta say a little bit of a confession here. Because before we started, I was actually practicing up a little bit on my southern dialect, and I reckon I'm just going to end for the rest of the podcast anyway. I'm just going to adapt this southern redneck accent if you're not offended by that terminology.
Well, that is how John Grisham speaks. He speaks like, have you ever heard him speak?
Only read a little bit about him.
He speaks in a thick southern dialect. It's epic. It's epic.
Wow. Well, it sure is nice. I mean, because it's just like it's a very relaxed way of speaking, to be honest, and that's probably why they still adapt. They still hold it so dear to this day, because it is simply a cultural thing. They've been speaking like that for years. They've been speaking like that ever since they came over there to America. And why should they give that up just because it doesn't live up to the standards of the high folk, of the elite?
Well, we'll see, man. If not, the southern dialect will be extinct.
It will not be.
It will be speaking Spanish soon.
Yeah, but you mean because all damn Latino is coming into the country? Right. Well, we have a bunch of us farmers down there with our shotguns and our right to property, and I can damn well tell you that if a Latino comes into my property, I'm gonna take the shotgun out, and I'm gonna shoot as fucking sure as my name is Clyde. That's for sure. That's for damn sure, boy.
That's good. That's good.
So that's our instinct. Of course, I'm just joking here.
Then I would say to Clyde, well, are you just gonna pull your shotgun out if you see 50 black SUVs all filled with like heavily armed cartel people who has cut the fence, is driving across your farm. Are you going to open fire on them?
Well, me and my homeboys, Timothy, Daryl, Dalton, Marquade, Arthur, and Anthony, and who else? Marcus, who else was that guy over there? All right, it was Barry. He's a big guy. He's one of them hucksters who is just gonna like he doesn't even need no weapon. He's just gonna ramp himself up from the chair and he will run out there into the fields and he will rip their limbs off of these poor ass hillbillies from the south.
Right.
Because this is war, I tell you. This is fucking war. When they come up here, we will fucking give them a next war.
Glad to hear it.
We will give them a civil war. We will give them America's newest civil war, 2025.
I think that's enough for today. And I'm glad that everybody tuned in for this episode. And I only have like one thing to add to all of this, and that is one word: subscribe.
Yeah, subscribe there.
All right.
You sons of bitches.
Peace out.